In knitting, most stitch patterns use a combination of the two basic stitches, knitting and purling, to create different patterns and textures. The Mosst Stitch is a great example of a simple pattern that uses just knit and purl stitches to create a ton of texture. Hi, I'm Hannah from knitting.com, and today we'll learn how to knit the Mosst Stitch. I'll knit the pattern over 2 rows, and later in the video, I'll give you a few tips for keeping track of where you are in a stitch pattern. If you'd like to knit along with me today, you'll need a few things ready to go. First, you'll need a pair of knitting needles. I'll be using a pair of straight needles to show you how to knit the Mosst Stitch back and forth flat. You'll also need yarn in a weight that matches your needles. Remember to check the ball band to get an idea of what size needles to use. Lastly, you'll need a cast on row of stitches, just a small amount if you're practicing. Just make sure that you have an even number of stitches cast on. That's super important. If you're ready, let's get started. All right, so we're all ready to knit the Mosst Stitch, and what you'll want to do is start with a cast on row of even number of stitches. In this case, I have 8. You could do 10, 12, 20, as many as you'd like, as long as there's an even number. And you can use any cast on you'd like. I used a long tail cast on in this case, but it doesn't really matter. It's whatever your preference is. So the Mosst Stitch is worked over 2 different stitches, so it'll go knit, purl, all the way across. I'll knit the first stitch together, and then purl the second stitch before knitting the following stitch. So you're knitting and then purling again. All the way across. So knit, and this is another purl, followed by knit. And because it's an even number, you should end with the opposite stitch than what you started with. So I started with a knit stitch, and I'm ending with a purl stitch. That's how you know you've kept the right number of stitches in your row. It's a good short way of remembering or figuring that out. So if you look, you've got alternating knit, purl, all the way across. Then you're ready to turn your work, and you're going to work that same stitch pattern again. So you're going to do a knit, purl for the second row. The third row, so knit, followed by a purl. The third row is where you change the order of stitches to offset them. So it's a knit, purl, knit, purl, knit, and finally the last stitch, like the row before, is a purl. All right, so you've worked 2 rows. You've got 2 more rows to do. You turn your work again. And this time, instead of starting with a knit stitch, you were starting with a purl stitch. And you'll know because you'll be able to see you've got 2 stacked knit stitches, one on top of each other. That means it's time to switch to the other row and start. And every time you see a knit stitch, you'll purl it instead. And every time you see a purl stitch, you'll knit it instead. So again, we're going to purl the first stitch in this row, and then knit, and then purl, and then knit. So again, this is a really great way to practice looking at your fabric to see what you're supposed to do next, rather than memorizing your pattern necessarily. By being able to read your knits, you're able to troubleshoot more than you would if you were just memorizing it and trying to remember and trying to figure out what happened or what went wrong. All right, so we ended with a knit stitch, and we're going to turn our work one more time and do the same pattern again. So again, this row, we're starting with a purl stitch, followed by a knit stitch to make that second stack of knit and purl stitches in this repeat. Two more stitches, and then we will have completed 1 whole repeat of the Mosst Stitch. Okay, let's take a look. So you can see that you've got 2 stacks of knit V's, then you jog over one, 2 stacks of knit V's, and that's how you know you're doing the repeat correctly all the way across. And that is how to work Mosst stitch. Something we love about Mosst stitch is that it's reversible, meaning both the front and the back sides look the same. It's bouncy and the edges lay flat, making it perfect for scarves and blankets. But remember, practice makes perfect, so try making a few Mosst stitch swatches before taking on a bigger project. If you found this tutorial helpful, be sure to click the thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Subscribe to knitting.com if you'd like to stay in the loop, and check out our other social media channels. Until next time, happy knitting!